All right, we're back with the SilmFilm script discussion for season 3, episode 6, part 2. Anyway, so over the break, we discovered that there is not a lot of things that have been decided for what the frame of this episode is supposed to do or what it's supposed to look like. However, we do have some solutions. We do know that there was talk of people wanting to visit Bree and the Prancing Pony, and we feel like this episode might be the time to do it, because we have to eventually find out that there's going to be a wolf problem, right? And where better to find this out than at a meeting called by important people to discuss a potential wolf problem in the Prancing Pony, though not in the common room. That's a bad idea.
We need to figure out who's at this meeting before we go too much further.
True enough.
But
we were deciding who was going to be in the meeting, and then we realized that we should be deciding this on camera. Well, more than on, you know what I mean. Anyway, so representatives of the Duna Nine have to be there. Eladan and Elra here will be there. Estelle will be there with them, but not necessarily participating in the meeting because he's just a young kid. However, it would be interesting if Hamilcar is not allowed into the meeting.
Right, so if he and Hamilcar are outcast this time.
Oh, no. What I'm saying is that Hamilcar is not allowed into the meeting, but Estelle is allowed into the meeting.
So it'd be reversed as the first
time. No idea why.
Right, okay. And I could see Eladan and Elro here, like pulling Estelle in without it being Halbrad's like decision to do that. Whereas, Halbrad's like, yeah, Hamilcar, you stay here, and the twins are like, yeah, Estelle, sure, meeting.
Right. Is that like the two decisions don't have to be made in the same space? Like they,
right.
Like but, Estelle, Elra here and Eladan aren't putting any thought into it. They're
right, it just happens. Yeah. Okay, so I'm fine with that. That reverses the situation from episode 1.
Right.
So that's good for developing the antagonism between those two.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a meeting. All those people are in it, but they're having the meeting in Bree, which all those people were traveling together up to this point anyway.
Right.
So they have to be meeting somebody in Bree.
Right.
So
there's no reason to go to Bree if there's nobody else for them to meet.
Exactly. So who's there?
So
who is not Gandalf is there?
Yes, Gandalf can't be there because we've already skirted the Aragorn meets Gandalf around the time he's 20 years old thing a little bit. So we do have to have somebody from the Shire there, and I'm okay with the Master of Buckland sending a representative. I'm not entirely certain why. What's the reticence for having a representative of the Thane?
Okay, so Shire politics is extremely insular, and they don't really care about anything outside the Shire. So the Thane represents the entire Shire, kind of like a king would, or like a mayor would, because it's not big enough to have a king. But he doesn't care what happens outside his boundaries so much, and therefore, why would he be sending an official representative outside the Shire for something? Like, he does inside the Shire stuff. The Master of Buckland is not really an official title. He's just the guy in charge of Buckland, and Buckland is off to the side, doesn't really care about the whole where the boundaries are, has lots of connections with Bree. So if something's happening in Bree and there's going to be somebody from the Shire there, I would think it would be a Buckland connection, not a Thane-Tookland connection.
That's fair, although I would point out that the Thane's position, the reality of the Thane's position is that his job is to be the interface between the Shire and the King.
It is.
It's like the Thane is more a representative of the Shire to the outside world.
But there hasn't been a king for a very long time.
I agree, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the Thane abdicates.
He does not. But the only thing we ever hear the Thane do is when Lotho takes over the Shire, the Thane's position is something along the lines of, if anybody was going to do that, it should have been me. And then he shuts down Tookland so that Lotho's guys can't get in and out.
Yeah.
Like, that's what the Thane does. So it doesn't, I mean, that's Pippin's dad. So this is obviously much earlier in the story, so we'd have to go back and figure out who's in each position at this time. I don't off the top of my head know who is Master of Buckland at this top. It might be Gorindad, but I don't think so. That sounds wrong. So I'd have to check the family trees.
Well, we can. That's all stuff that we can check later.
Yeah.
The reason that I have for suggesting that the Thane sends a representative is because I'd like there to be more factions there, sort of, not necessarily factions, you know what I mean, but like more.
I'm fine with Shire hobbits being there. I just don't want it to be an official representative of the Thane, because that sounds like the Shire's got their act together a little more than they should to interact with the outside world.
Doesn't really have any power outside of Tuckborough.
He does not.
Just like the Master of Buckland doesn't have. I mean, the two of them seem similar in their kind of. I mean, other than the fact that the Thane would have actual political power if there was a king, which there isn't.
Right. That's the difference between them.
Right. But right now, there's really that much of a difference.
Well, the Thane is more old school, and the Master of Buckland is a little newer. Okay. So there's that. And the hobbits are probably pretty aware of that distinction.
That's true.
So Pippin is closer to royalty than Merry is.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, obviously Pippin and Merry don't care about this at all.
Right. Well, the thing is that if we basically if we only send representatives from the Master of Buckland, then only one person from that group is really going to have a voice.
Okay.
Right? So is there anybody else from the Shire other than Bilbo? Because I don't think we want to land there yet.
No. I think Bilbo gets pulled in later. Afterwards.
After.
Yeah. Although hobbits who are willing to travel to Bree and be adventurous at this point in the story, Bilbo is pretty high on the list of hobbits who would do that.
Yeah.
So,
but he may not be well connected enough to know that this is going. He's pretty well connected. I know.
He talks to outsiders more than anybody else in the Shire does. So if the Master of Buckland knows about this, Bilbo knows about it.
Mm.
And if the Thane knows about it, then everybody knows about it, because the Thane is just too insular to have gotten news. Whereas there's travel between Buckland and Bree fairly regularly. There's relatives across, that's the only reason I keep trying to pull in Buckland, is because I feel like they would know what's going on in Bree before anyone else in the Shire would.
Another thing that I want to be careful about bringing Bilbo in is because Bilbo and Estelle have a previously established relationship. If Bilbo is there, then excuse me. If Bilbo is there, then we have to have a scene where him and Estelle get an aside conversation together to reestablish their connection.
Oh yeah, let's not do that.
Right, which is going to take up more time that we don't really want to spend there.
All right, so if we needed to explain how Bilbo ends up there later without explaining, anyone who's in Bree for this meeting could have told Bilbo.
Right.
Because he gets his news from people. So yeah, I'm fine with Bilbo not being there. But there should be hobbits there, Breeland hobbits, and hopefully some Shire hobbits as well.
Well, if there's Breeland hobbits there, why wouldn't there be Breeland humans?
There are.
So then they know. You're talking about people who know what the Rangers are doing. That's the issue. Is that these have to be people who are kind of in the know about the Rangers' position in all of this.
Good call. And you're right. So, Bree doesn't really know what the Rangers are up to.
Right.
You know who else is near Bree is Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, he's not going to be there. There's no way.
No, he's not. But
if the Thane is insular,
right? Yeah. But again, the whole why are we in Bree? Bree is right next to his land.
Yeah.
What else is near Bree? There's Weathertop. There's the Barrow Downs. There's some pretty desolate stuff near Bree.
Yeah.
There's 3 other towns in the Breelands, like Archet and the one begins with a C. Anyway, the point is there's 3 towns there.
Yes.
In addition to Bree. But
yes.
I don't
Saddle.
I don't even. Okay, sure. I don't recall. But I don't know why we would be in any of those towns or anybody else who lives in any of those towns. Like, there's nothing. Bree itself is popular because it's a crossroads.
I'm sure that Professor Olson would be ecstatic if we found a way to sneak in a local that's in Lotro into that scene.
I don't know Lotro, so
I can find somebody, but I don't know. It would be kind of interesting if Gildor was there.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is that the Prancing Pony Tavern in Bree is a place where people would travel to and show up. Like, there's a reason why Gandalf and Thorin had their meeting there.
Yeah.
And therefore, there's dwarves on that road all the time. I don't think we need dwarves in this story particularly, but there could be dwarves in that inn. Like,
they should be. Radagast could be there. Because where does Gandalf meet up with him? Doesn't he meet up with him on the Greenway?
He does, and Radagast is saying, "I've never been out here before. I don't know where anything is."
Okay, forget that.
Shire, and Radagast is clearly not a traveler, and he's way outside his range when he's on the Greenway.
Okay.
So, I would again hesitate to throw Radagast in.
No, that's fine.
Again, if you want a wizard who would be on the road there,
it would have to be Gandalf, but that poses its own set of problems. I feel like putting Gandalf or Bilbo in that room gives us problems of different kinds.
Yes. Okay, so let's establish what the problem is, and then we can figure out who would know about it.
Okay. Well, the problem is that there have been a higher than average number of wolf sightings, possibly even people have been killed, which is unheard of. Wolves don't usually attack humans.
Right.
People might be suggesting that it might be a sickness.
Okay, so we would probably want the general discussion in the Prancing Pony, like not our secret meeting, but our just general discussion, to be things like, wow, this is really bad winter, and whoa, did you hear about that thing that happened?
Yeah.
And so just overall,
we could overhear a conversation where somebody's like some random traveler is telling another random traveler about, did you hear about that, that guy who was killed by wolves out in the I know it's ridiculous that wolves never attack people.
So I think we can use that scene to establish what's going on, and it's possible that our meeting, until the meeting actually happens, no one knows what Estelle doesn't know what it's about.
Right.
So Estelle just walks into the tavern and hears this kind of stuff and is looking around and is surprised to see humans and hobbits and dwarves all sitting in the same tavern. Like, we can kind of go that for an opening scene. We can just do that.
Should there be somebody standing in the? Should he notice somebody standing over in the corner smoking a pipe?
I mean, why not, right?
Yeah. Gee, that spot looks really comfortable.
But then we need to be meeting somebody. So the Rangers could be meeting another ranger who has traveled further away, and this is the meeting spot. So it could be a ranger meeting.
Yes.
Like, Halbrad's group isn't the only group of rangers, and
that's true.
He needs to check in with the other rangers. So let's just have it be a ranger meeting. Let's not bring the Shire into it quite yet. Anyway.
All right. Sounds good.
And then we don't need any wizards or hobbits or anything. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I was trying to establish was to do the same kind of thing that Thingol is doing.
But we can do that in the common room where there's different groups there talking about this coming problem.
Okay.
I mean, the frame isn't going to have enough storyline to do it as extensively as Thingol is.
You're probably right. Okay. So. I was just thinking, if we wanted to throw Bilbo in here,
okay,
the way that I would do it is have Bilbo be the shadowy figure in the hood, smoking a pipe over in the corner.
Yeah, I figured that's where you're headed.
And they're in the side room having their meeting. And like right in the middle where they're trying to figure out what to do with it, they hear this little voice that says, "Well, it's quite obvious what to do about it." And Bilbo just appears, like steps out of the shadows because he had the ring on the whole time, obviously.
Let's not.
I know. It's so tempting though. Like it's that's juicy. That's really good. But it can't happen because it's
I mean, it's not that it can't happen. It's that we'd have to really think that through.
And it's also putting a lot of focus on Bilbo, which I don't think we want to do at this point.
Right. That's the issue, is that it's not quite.
Yeah. What? Obviously, when we come back into the frame, they're still going to be in that meeting. Obviously, they're still going to be in that meeting. So what do we think is the upshot of that? Like, what conclusion do they come to, do you think?
This could be where we establish that the Ranger's goal is to keep people safe.
Okay.
So if what we're hearing about is that there are a lot of these wolves and they're attacking and possibly rabid or who knows what's wrong with them, some weird disease.
Yeah.
Then, or evil. Like at some point they should think, or these could be evil wargs. Like,
yeah,
that's a thing they know about. Then their concern would be for people who are out there where the wolves are and getting those people safe. And therefore they would be organizing a hunt to go take care of the evil wolves.
Okay. All right. So basically the decision at the end of it is to go on a hunt, that they're going to organize a big hunt. It's probably going to be one of the bigger gatherings of the Dunedain in a long while, and so on and so forth. Okay, cool.
So this is where we hear the Brelanders.
Go on.
Yes. Yeah. As I said, this is where we kind of learn how the Brelanders view the Dunedain.
Yeah.
And how they call them rangers and how they're slightly distrustful of them and they consider them to be pretty rough.
Yeah.
And Estelle could start changing his own opinion a little bit, realizing that that's an unfair characterization.
Yeah.
And possibly recognizing that his own first impression was maybe a little unfair.
Yeah. Well, because like also the common room of the Prancing Pony is not exactly full of like, you know, the best and brightest in the world.
It's a thoroughfare. It's a crossroads. It's where you find travelers. So yeah, these are people who travel much further than other people in Middle Earth do. Like these are people who have been to Rohan and Gondor, and or the dwarves from various mountain ranges, and you know, it's just these are people who have done a lot of traveling. And the Brelanders themselves never travel at all. They stay there, but they hear all the stories from the travelers, so they consider themselves very worldly because they keep hearing all the news.
Yes. Yeah.
But they've never been anywhere.
Right.
So that's it. Was just like if you want to know what the Brelanders' attitude is,
right?
Something like that.
Okay. And also we have to mention Titus and Barnabas. There has to be a cameo for Barnabas. Butterbur. No. That's the whole point of being in the Prancing Pony.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yes, okay, so it's got to be Barlaam Butterbur's grandfather running the establishment, I guess?
Is running the place.
Okay.
And Barnabas should not be like a little kid, obviously, because it's not that far off in the future.
Right.
Like, he has to be old enough to have had a 40-year-old son, you know, within the next 50 years.
Let's see, how many years ahead are we? There's a 60-year gap between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and then and then a 17-year gap between the beginning of Lord of the Rings and when Frodo leaves.
You're right.
So it's actually 77 years later,
right.
And we're only.
So we're about
6 years
70
later.
years off. Okay, so
Yeah,
he could be a young kid then. He could be a very young kid. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. For some reason, I thought it was slightly less than that. So, okay.
In the Jackson films, they eliminate 17 years.
I wasn't thinking of that. I hope. Maybe. I don't know. Don't judge me.
No. You were thinking of Hobbit generations, which obviously are longer than human generations, so it seems shorter to you. No worries.
Yeah, sure. I'll take that as my excuse as we start to take a break here. If you're watching us live, I promise you, I don't always do that. I've done it maybe 4 times over the course of this series. If you're watching us on YouTube in the future, definitely like and share the videos if you like and want to share them. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe. Check out the links below for all kinds of stuff on Mythgard, Signum University, the SilmFilm project itself, and Mythmoot 5 coming up June 21st to the 24th. We'll be back in a minute.